And now I sense I have a picky audience who goes, but we want a book. You give us a book that you have used in your research, even if just to be like, nope, this isn't providing me what I need to know. So the paper that is being referenced there is a 2017 peer-reviewed journal article in physics. High energy density physics was the name of the journal. I was first author and I was the second author. And I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and my co-author, the second author, was Burkhard Mowitzer. He, him, his. So far as I know, he's still up in Berkeley, but I didn't actually know that. But he came to the United States of America from Germany. I came to America from Norway, but before I could remember, or do I remember? I don't know. Okay, anyway, so people were like, you gave us a book on Python, computation in Python. Can you give us one to help us understand or get context for what you did? So this is a book that I did read at least part of when I was doing my research. There's a section on Uranus and Neptune. So I decided to describe this as an informational book on planetary interiors, including planetary classification for our solar system and basic physical and chemical composition and basic physical and chemical considerations in their composition and dynamics. So it's kind of like, well, what material is composed of, what its chemical constitution is. There's different physics. Not everything behaves the same, or can be different physics. Not everything behaves the same. That like a ball made of titanium behaves differently than a ball made of magnetic manganese. Okay, so the book here is Book Notes for Planetary Interiors, 1984 book by William B. Hubbard. Yes, the William B. Hubbard. He was a professor at the University of Arizona. Both Arizona State University and University of Arizona have pretty well-known and well-renowned planetary science programs. And at least in my time, and they're well-regarded. And so this is the 1984 Van Nostrand Reinhold Company Inc. edition. And I'll put the ISBN in the video description. It starts with a 0 instead of a 978. And so I have utilized this in terms of like gaining understanding about the field more generally, even though what was included may not have been directly relevant for my research or cited in my research because it's not directly relevant, but is good for gaining context, speaking from experience. And I'm making sure the ISBN is correct. Let's go through book notes, including construction and design. So it has its text, it has plots, it has equations. The equations are, it doesn't do like, it's not overwhelming how the equations are presented, and does a good job defining the variables and denoting, labeling the equations. Like, which equation number is this? Right? So if you see 4-43 may correspond to the 43rd equation in chapter 4. That kind of thing. They have diagrams. So like there's symmetry and crystallography and kind of there's structure to materials. And so it addresses that a bit. It's not overwhelming in equations, and so if you want something, what am I trying to say? If you want something to read where you can actually read it and be like, I don't really understand the equations that well, it has enough words that you can piece together an understanding without needing to know the equations. It talks about magnetism a little bit, so then there's diagrams of like a geodynamo, but is it Earth? Geo stands for Earth, so then it's just dynamo, magno-dynamo, what's the word for that? Yeah, that kind of thing. And then talking about emissions, right? The emissions are not unique to carbon dioxide. It's actually might not even have started with chemical elements. Yeah, a lot of things are taken and then not properly contextualized with the press these days. Yes, but it's I think it's a really great book just for like basic. Here's a lot of words. So if you don't know what oscillations mean in this context, this is also not like an introduction to planetary science book. This is a little bit meatier on the planetary interiors, which means there might be some, you might want to have some basic understanding, and if you don't, then don't be afraid of having like more basic text to look stuff up or refer to, or even just Google. And people are like, but it has a monopoly. You know, if you're going to start someplace, sometimes it's okay to search things. Okay. My personal perspective on that. Yeah. And then it has, I like reading. It has a bibliography. I like stuff like that. There's an index. So while there's not a glossary, they might not define all of the terms. There is an index for looking terms up. So yes, but this is one of my collection. It smells like an older book. It's got almost a decade on me, but not quite a decade on me. But yeah, so this is one if you want a little bit closer to what I was doing. It even has Uranus in it, which it classifies as a Jovian planet, terrestrial and Jovian. And then yeah. So, and sometimes the classifications change, where it can be Jovian, and then is it gas, or is it an ice giant, that kind of stuff. So there we go. Book. In conclusion, those are book notes for Planetary Interiors, 1984 book by William B.